All right, and let's jump in right into the list. So this list is going to look extremely familiar because it was featured on the channel not too long ago. And this is going to be Palpatine with IG-11. So Palpatine's coming with Anger, Burst of Speed, and Force Barrier. This is just so we can rush in for his one pip, and now you will die, and also to protect the army while he's preparing his setup to do that rush. Next is going to be the Imperial Officer with Improvised Orders and Electro Binoculars. It's the lady right here with the winter clothing on, little cape and all that. Next up is IG-11. He's a little bit changed around from the, he might be a little bit changed around from the video. IG-11 with Bounty Programming, Hunter, Emergency Transponder, and Emergency Stims. Overall, the survivability loadout. Next for the core, we have a squad with Del Meeko, all the normal stormtroopers, and the astromech. Then for another core unit, we have the standard set of 4 stormtroopers plus a medical droid. And then finally, the last set of core troopers is the stormtroopers with the HH-12 rocket launcher. Then moving on to Special Forces, we have a unit of Royal Guards with the Electrostaff Protector and Tenacity. And then finally, we have 2 identical sets of Scout Trooper strike teams. This is the tournament I'm going to be bringing for the Golden Sprue and the boys. So next time I'll be seeing you, it will be for the first little bit of the event. Till then, let's see. All right, and before we get into some of the games, I just wanted to show you guys this really cool piece of terrain. Now, this was for the Age of Sigmar half of the tournament at Du Bois, but this is just a gigantic, like, earthworm that's just coming out of the ground. I think that looks really cool. Here's some another good piece of terrain. Just some bones on the ground. Just look really detailed. It's really nice looking. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into round number 1. So this was a very interesting game. So I deployed most of my army on the southern edge. We got here. I do have some snipers tucked up there in the corner. This was an advanced positions, key positions, and supply drop for the turn. It was a very interesting game. Round 1, if I recall correctly, he did go with standing orders, while I went with IG-11's 2 pip, a machine made for killing, and there wasn't a whole lot of shooting this first round. Except IG-11 did get tagged a little bit by the end of this round, and one of his core units I was able to get just within range of IG-11's shot and was able to whittle them down a little bit. I should say my opponent did have a Republic army. It was Yoda with Chewie, a few Phase 1 cores, an Arc Strike team with Echo, and a couple of Bark Speeders. A very good list, very good to play against. If we go over, for me, I played an entire Legion, so everyone got an order except IG-11 due to the fact he is a mercenary. But moving on over to turn 3, at this point, my entire turn 2, I wanted to position my entire army to be able to run at the key position in the middle, and that's what I did. At this point, IG-11 had died. My officer was weak, so she is out of the fight. And my entire army did move up right here, while the rest of his army is kind of on the other side of the building, along with Chewie being a little damaged. I played Given to Your Anger. Definitely not a fantastic play on my part. I feel like I should have definitely waited on this. I should have waited on that. I do think that would have been the smarter option, especially given I made a huge blunder in the sense that I forgot Yoda's Jedi Mind Trick doesn't require line of sight. So I had a couple units back here that just took aim, like dodge standbys, And then Yoda just used Jedi Mind Trick to give me 2 suppressions, so I lost the standbys on the units like the Royal Guards and the Stormtroopers. Moving on to the next round, this is when Palp's bomb came in. And Palpatine's bomb, honestly, if I recall correctly, didn't truly do a whole lot. Chewie lived, Yoda lived, and Palp got pretty weak afterwards. Not really a fantastic turnout for Palpatine, but sorry. At the end of the round, it was a 2-1 win on my opponent's end, so I did start out Golden Sprue 0-1. Unfortunate, but hey, it happens. Moving on to the second game of day 1. It was hemmed in, key positions, and minefields. So 2 for 2 for key positions. Let's see. Here's the map. Here's the board. I was blue player, so I was pointed out a little bit on this. The center key position worked out very much in my favor. It ended up being this little set of trees, which was very easy for me to reach. The other key position that I chose was this tower that's right here, the mine under it, and then the last key position was this set of boxes right here. It kind of was unfortunate the way the key positions worked for my opponent, because he kind of had to put a key position right next to me, but I also had to put one kind of far from me. If we move on over, oh, here's a good shot my opponent suggested with the sniper in the tower. A couple shots of that. But moving on to deployment, turn 1, I once again went with a machine made for killing, a turn 1 play. He was playing Empire, IG-88, and Darth Vader, Commander Vader, actually. So he deployed IG-88 along with a Stormtrooper plus repair unit, Astromech right there on this side, to kind of put pressure on this, my right objective. Then the rest of his army went right here. A few units of Stormtroopers, 2 units of Snowtroopers with the Ion Gun, and Vader, along with some Naked Scouts. Moving on up to turn 2, I definitely made a huge misplay. I played IG-11's blow-up card, and at this point he was hit with an ion, and he was very wounded. And his bomb, I believe, only ended up killing a couple of guys. It wasn't fantastic. If I recall correctly, I only killed a few people. If I recall correctly, I did only kill a few people, but that's not the end of the world. If we look over, on the next turn, I played Given to IG-11 at this point died. My guys were going down. I did have IG-88 mixed in with some Imperial Royal Guard, so that did help in stalling him, because he couldn't quite cut through them super easily, because I was immune pierce with the Electro Staff heavy weapon upgrade. And at this point, Vader, you can't see it, but Vader is in melee with Palp. And he, however, did use burst to speed last round. So now Vader is stuck right there. And I used this to my advantage, because I then just moved my entire army up and around and I knew also for a fact that I could play Palp's 1-pip and shock Vader once, and then Vader's once again stuck there, and he can't do anything. He did play Fear and Deadman, though. That's why these tokens are all dodges right here. And Vader is just chilling right there, and he is kind of stuck there due to the Immobilize. Why is that picture weird? That's fine. But, yep, once again, I did go with Palp, and I just kind of froze Vader in place. And I played Ring Around the Rosie with this to the point until next round. And this was the coming up on the second to last round, I believe. I went with Palp, and he only had Vader alive, and at this point the Royal Guard was dead. And I was able to eventually I kind of gave up on that point, because he had IG-88 and a Storm's going, so I didn't want to give him any kill points. But the next turn, I was able to put a few units on the center KP and his KP, and I did win this round, making me go in total 1-for-1 for the first day. Moving on to the third match. This one was rough. I had one weapon with impact on it, and that was the HH-12 rocket launcher. It had impact 3, but it was a use it and a lose it type of thing, because very, very rarely was I able to be at a point where I felt comfortable enough to recover shoot with it. But on this one, he had two snail tanks from the CIS, and that definitely put me in a world of hurt. It was payload, rollout, and I believe we had clear conditions for our condition. It was not fantastic, but I moved my army up, and behind this wall, I was able to push the payload from behind this wall, which was really good. But eventually, it just led into his tanks pinning my entire army behind this wall, and my entire army slowly yet surely went down. I did Palp Bomb in order to kill a tank, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough, because my army just kept slowly getting taken out piece by piece. And it ended up being I think victory points wise, ended up being 2-0 on my part, and I did lose this game in day 1. But never to fear, moving on to day 2, I got to play on a Geonosius map against an opponent with a lot of Mandos and Darth Maul, a Shadow Collective list. This was if I remember correctly, a Long March, key positions, and so yes, another key positions. 3 out of 4 games were key positions so far. Just wait until we get to game number 5. But Long March, key positions, and if I remember correctly, I don't remember what the condition was off the top of my head. I'd like to say it was War Weary or something along those lines. But my entire army was deployed on the bottom right on the Gazanti head, while all his Mandos and Maul were placed on the bottom left to push up. And that barricade you actually see right here is Maul's barricade with Force Lift, while he also had Force Barrier to be a very protective version of Maul. Then also he had his pikes deployed in the top left, and they were just going to kind of go for the key positions. They're the objective grabbers. To move on, here is a picture. This is a turn or two ahead. IG-11 went into the fray with the Mandos. The Mandos were getting heavily suppressed, but they weren't going down too quickly. But slowly yet surely. At this point, I killed 2 Mandalorians, I believe. And Maul had taken a healthy bit of suppression up to the point where Maul actually panicked on turn 2 or 3, I believe. So Maul just got no actions, which was big. Then moving on to turn, I think at this point this might have been turn 3 or 4. I played, yes, this is turn 3. I played Given to Your Anger, and I put it on Maul. I thought I kind of eyeballed it correctly that Maul wouldn't be able to reach anyone because he didn't have any ranged attacks. I was definitely wrong, because Maul was able to actually move twice from right here and get into melee just narrowly with Del Meeko. Like, if Del Meeko was pushed back next to the Stormtrooper leader of this unit, he would have been fine, but he was just close enough to be in range of Maul double moving into a melee with him. So that's exactly what happened. Eventually, with Maul, he moved up into melee, but I just disengaged and then focused on everyone else attacking. At this point, his Mandos are going down very quickly. At this, IG-11 still tied up with those 3 Mandos. The Royal Guard are tied up with 2 more Mandos, and then Rook Cass is all by herself in her unit, but still 2 health. Moving through the game, we do eventually see Maul does eventually move forward. Oh, I think it was on the last one. If I can remember correctly how to get there. It is Maul did on this turn. This is the now you will die turn. And Maul played a 1-pip to counter it. He won priority. He ran up and he swiped at Palpatine. And he did, if I remember correctly, he did 2 wounds on Palpatine. But my medbot was there, so I was able to heal 1 off, actually. Which turned out to be very big, because then Palp just proceeded to take a bunch of wounds and suppression and murdered Maul. He, quite frankly, just destroyed him. And then moving on to the last few turns, I am eventually able to overpower the rest of his units and move on forward and take the center KP. And here's actually, I wanted to see this. This was his loadout with Maul to be a very defensive version of it. Very good loadout. I do like it. I did like it a lot, actually. And it was very fun to play against and see in action. My units, however, they did eventually move up and take the center KP, and I won this 2-1. Moving on to the final game. The final game of the boys' Golden Sprue. Right now, I am 2-2, and this is Long March, key position, and the condition was supply drop. So another supply drop, another Long March, and another key position. However, this map, I did not like this map just for key positions. It was a great map besides that, but this entire center rock was the key position. Because we decided that we're just going to have it all be one thing, because the very center of the board actually caused it, like, it was split into different pieces, but it was also put that center middle, like, cross of it was also in the middle, so we weren't able to really decide on one. So we just made it all one big key position. His key position was the crystal right there, and mine was this rock face right here. I deployed my entire army on this southern board edge, while he definitely spread out his deployment, and he had triple E-webs with a bunch of stormtroopers, Callus, and Boba. Very interesting loadout. He was able to push up his army forward on the key position later on in the rounds. I did get a very nice IG-11 spin move off, and I was able to actually kill 2 units with it and severely weaken one down to just 1 model. Yep, it was just Veers at this point, but IG-11 did go down. I played And Now You Will Die later on, but he beat me with a cunning 1-pip from Callus. And this is where some luck ran out on my part. He got pulled a core from the stack, and went with this core unit right here that's centered. They moved around the corner with no aim and shot Palp in light cover. They ended up rolling 3 hits. 1 went to cover, and 2 went through to Palp. My RRG are definitely way out of range, so I should have kept them in range. That would have been a lot smarter on my part, but I did not do that. And Palp ended up taking, 2 hits were rolled, and then 2 blanks were rolled. So Palp took 2 wounds on his And Now You Will Die turn. Absolutely devastating. Palp he didn't even kill full units. He left a medbot unit with 2 health left, and he left that officer on 1. I eventually did kill the single officer left in that unit, but eventually my whole plan was kind of thrown out the window. Boba did end up coming out on top over here and just whipped around and killed a bunch of guys. And I did end up losing this game. It was 1-1 because the rail guards who are in this tunnel right here ended up moving up and tying on this key position. So it was a 1-1 on that one for control of that key position. He won control on this one, and I had control on this bottom one. It ended up being a 1-1, but he definitely won on kill points because he was able to kill Palp. That was a huge thing. That Palp did eventually succumb to his taking of wounds, and Palp did eventually go down, leaving me at a 2-3 record at the boys. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. There was also a raffle at the end, which meant that if you were like me and didn't exactly score the best for your placements, you could still win some things. And I actually did enter the raffle, and a few people that left early because of they had to go home for whatever reason, they gave me I was fortunate enough to receive some tickets from them, and I actually ended up with a bunch of tickets at the end, and I ended up winning 2 things. I won 2 sets of IG assassin droids. So now I have 6 assassin droids, and maybe you guys will see sometime in the close future how that turned out. I do have one of them already done using some green stuff and some kit bashing from some other Legion models. I do have an IG series Magna Guard inspired droid, and I feel like he definitely did turn out pretty good, and I can't wait to show you guys that sometime in the future. And with that, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Have a great rest of your day, and peace.